Herron gathers it in for Georgia. Bulldogs with a chance to cut into that 5-point Kentucky advantage. Cole taps it over to Herron. He's wide open. Strong rebound by Madison of Kentucky. That's a shot Georgia had to make.
Bad looking shot by Herron, excuse me. I bet you Hugh Durham wishes Patton had taken that one.
Less than 5 minutes. Kentucky calls for a timeout. First timeout of the game taken by Eddie Sutton and his Wildcats. Comes with 4:58 on the clock, and Kentucky leading 66-61. Rob Locke shows us he has some mobility, although he didn't look so good earlier in the game.
Well, every big man wants to be a guard, but Cole bailed out, and Locke flushes it. These big men like to put the ball on the floor.
Game has been tied 11 times, 13 lead changes. Right now the Wildcats by 5 and 4:58 to play. One of the reasons at the free throw line, Kentucky's hit 15 of 18. Georgia's attempted only 7 and hit them all.
And Kentucky's guards have lifted Kentucky's game up another level. Davender and Chapman really doing the job, and I'm a firm believer in guards. Guard play is so important, and Kentucky's getting it.
Here's the foul situation. Hamilton already has exited. Cole, Kessler, and Anderson 3 apiece, and Locke, the only Wildcat in foul trouble.
Kentucky with only 4 team fouls in the second half, so they've got 2 to give.
Georgia's hitting 54% for the game, Kentucky 55%. Georgia's out-rebounded Kentucky 25-16, but they've turned it over 16 times to 7 for the Wildcats.
Georgia now in that 1-3-1 trapping zone. Kentucky really moving the ball quickly. Eddie Sutton directing traffic.
And they'll work the clock a little bit here, won't they?
Against the 1-3-1, they go to a 2-guard front to make Anderson commit, and they'll work the clock because they have the lead. And they've got those good outside shooters.
Davender is fouled as he tried to dish it inside. Cole has number 4.
Davender, how many times does he take the basketball and penetrate and make something happen? Every young guard out there in high school and junior high school ought to watch this guy because he makes things happen. He's the perfect example of what a coach wants out of a point guard. Make it happen, penetrate.
And it hasn't been an easy transition for him. He's primarily a 2-guard, a scoring guard. And at times, they've been a little frustrated with the fact that he hasn't adapted well to the point. But here in the latter half of his senior season, he is showing how the point guard position should be played.
I think you mentioned earlier him scoring over 1,500 points, showing he can put the ball in the basket, and also getting 400 assists. So, boy, what a combination. And you think of guard play around the country. You know, you mentioned Temple and Arizona, Kentucky right up there with them, and Purdue. 4 teams with great guard play. Watch for them down the road.
Davender is the 10th leading scorer in the SEC and 9th in assists. And his backcourt running mate Rex Chapman is 7th in scoring and 8th in assists.
Impressive. And you know, you want the ball in their hands late because they are excellent free throw shooters.
Patton is back in for Georgia. Herron goes to the sideline.
Can you imagine this team if they didn't have the shot clock with the ball handling they have? It'd be unbelievable.
Well, let's see. Georgia down 7 if they go to Anderson. He's hit 4 of 6 in the second half and also has 5 assists. Ripped away from Kessler. Here's Chapman leading a 3-on-1 break. Davender, good.
Offense is started on the defensive end, and Chapman once again with the quick hands. The assist and the 2 to Davender.
And Kentucky has its biggest lead with 4 minutes left. Mack hits the home run.
There he is. You've got to play up on him tightly and make him put the ball on the floor where your 4 other teammates can help you.
In high school down in Tampa, Mack led the nation in scoring with 41 a game, and he's the leading scorer in this one with 21 as Kentucky throws it away.
And that's what Eddie Sutton was worried about earlier at one point in time. He said, we're rushing our offense too much. Now he's saying, we don't need to throw the ball like that. Under control.
3:43 left, and Georgia's not through yet. 3:43 left, Kentucky leading Georgia by 6. How would you describe the SEC tournament next week? Well, wide open. It looks like there are 7 or 8 teams that could possibly win it. It all gets underway Thursday night with a couple of games. We'll have the doubleheader for you on the Jefferson Pilot SEC network. Then on the quarterfinal round on Friday, an afternoon session starting at 1 Eastern time, an evening session at 8 Eastern time. And then the semifinals on Saturday afternoon, starting at 1 Eastern time. Should be some great tournament action. I don't know of a more competitive tournament year in and year out than the SEC postseason affair, and it's going to be a lot of fun down in Baton Rouge.
We'll be busy, but we'll be loving it. Should be one great tournament. Kentucky goes to a zone, 2-3.
Kentucky's hit 17 of 20 free throws. Georgia only 7 of 8.
It's a perfect example of a matchup 2-3 zone. Man-to-man responsibilities until someone leaves your area. And then you turn them over to your wingman.
Mack couldn't get away from Bennett. Mack threw it right over Anderson. Here's Chapman. Oh. Stolen by Mack. Chapman made a little touch pass intended for Davender, and Mack picked it off. Kessler, no good. Madison has it for Kentucky. 2 critical misses by Georgia. They needed those to get back in the game.
Well, Kentucky now doing a better job blocking out, controlling the backboard.
And the clock becoming a factor with 2:45.
Oh, they're going to spread the floor out. You see steals, Kentucky with 10.
Davender gets another assist as it rolls for Madison.
Well, payback. Madison had one roll out. This time it rolls in, and Davender, how many assists is that now? 8?
Are we up to 8 assists for Davender?
The penetration, the zip crisp pass, the hard power dribble, the foul, the roll is kind.
8 assists in the game for Davender, 2 short of his career high. And Richard Madison, the best all-around athlete, they say, on this Kentucky team. He was a great football and baseball player down in Memphis in high school. Missed the free throw.
If your son had his fastball,
that's right. About 90, dangerous. They said, for his fastball. And Kentucky seniors going out in a blaze of glory.
It's 3-point time.
Mack is short on it. Bennett lost it. It's out of bounds to Georgia. Bennett has 10 points in his final appearance, although all those came in the first half, hadn't scored in the second half. Jenkins has 4. Locke has 14, 15. Davender has 16. Madison has 6.
Against this zone, Georgia really, all 5 of their players can shoot from the 3-point line. So if they'll spread it out, they ought to be able to get a good shot attempt from the 3-point line.
Best 3-point shooter is Patton at 42.2. Willie Anderson rimmed out. Locke has the rebound.
But they've got to send some more people to the board just in case it doesn't go in like it did in that time. Kentucky, no problem on the glass.
Less than 2 minutes to play.
This is where being a good free throw shooting team is so important, and Kentucky is. Georgia doesn't know who to foul.
Ed Davender.
Let's go to school, a lesson. Davender, coast to coast.
He has 18 points and 8 assists. Kessler, look at Locke. Behind the back, Davender, and he'll hold up.
Locke, my favorite stat. That's about the 5th time he's been on the floor tonight.
Wonder how many uniforms he's gone through in his 4 years. Chapman almost lost it, got it back, dribbled it a couple of times between the legs, and back in control. And they'll take a timeout with 1:08 left. Kentucky has its biggest lead at the moment, a 10-point advantage. And in their final appearance at home, the seniors are having a big night, keyed by that man.
Eddie Davender, the penetration, the dipsy doodle, the hang time. What a night. He left the floor with his fist in the air.
Kentucky takes the timeout with 1:08 left. The Wildcats looking to clinch at least a tie for the SEC crown. They lead it by 10, and we'll be back after a word from your local station. Down the home stretch in the game, Kentucky leading Georgia by 10. Take time out to discover all the pleasures of downtown Lexington's favorite hotel, the Radisson Plaza, at an extra special weekend rate of $69. Do it all or just do nothing, but do it now, because special weekends like this don't happen every day. Well, we're trying to keep track of the contenders for you. Kentucky leads here by 10. Florida has beaten Vanderbilt tonight. And down in Starkville, LSU and Mississippi State are tied 40-40 with 10.5 minutes to play.
Wow, Mississippi State beats LSU in Baton Rouge by a bucket. And tonight, once again, playing them tough. Richard Williams done a great job at Mississippi State.
Anderson with the steal. Cole gives it back to Anderson, who drives and puts it in.
Oh, pretty. Lock on the ground again, but Georgia heads up, calls timeout.
And Anderson hitting his 12th point, and Georgia, with an even minute remaining, takes a quick timeout. So a timeout with Kentucky leading Georgia 74-66. And we'll be back to Rupp Arena after we hear this message from the Southeastern Conference. Willie Anderson, one of the candidates for SEC Player of the Year, and came up with a steal there, and then a nice drive.
And the finish. A leaping leaner, and Locke fell down again. Got a foul immediately.
And he does. Patton fouls Bennett, who is the worst free throw shooter among the players on the floor for Kentucky, although he's not that shabby at 70%.
No, that's not shabby at all. Hugh Durham saying he did a good job, nice job. What they'd like to do now is if he hits two, well, okay, you got to come down and take a three and try and get a 1 point advantage there and then foul again. So he's playing the odds. He's rolling the dice, as you said earlier.
And he lost only 1 second off the clock, 59 ticks remaining. Kentucky leads at 74-66 as the senior Bennett looks for his first point of the second half. He had 10 at intermission. Back of the rim and no good. Here's Anderson.
Got to get up a good one quickly.
Back to Anderson. Wide open is Cole for three. It's good. And they stop the clock with 47 seconds left.
And Georgia putting on a clinic. They played the odds. The odds fell their way. They got the quick shot. A three and an automatic timeout, so they're back in it. So you know they're going to foul immediately again, and they're going to try and get the ball in Winston Bennett's hands and get him.
Here's a three-point shot by Cole, who's wide open. He'll cut it to a 5-point lead.
They only took 12 seconds to get this one off. Nice follow through, the release in the basket, the automatic timeout. The defense favors Anderson. Cole spots up. Look at the follow through. Nothing but net. The automatic timeout. So Georgia wants to get the ball in Winston Bennett's hands and foul him again because he did miss the last free throw.
Georgia has hit 6 of 10 three-point attempts tonight. Kentucky 3 of 5. The last one was a big one. It made it a 5-point game with 47 seconds left. While we have a break in the action, let's take a look at our Gulf most valuable players for tonight's game. For the Georgia Bulldogs, Tony Mack, who is the game's leading scorer with 21 points, although most of those came in the first half. He has only 7 points in the second half, but he's our Georgia MVP. And one of the top career games for Ed Davender in his final home appearance. Davender with 18 points and 8 assists tonight to lead this Kentucky attack, which right now has a 5-point edge.
Davender's played the whole night.
As part of the Gulf Oil Most Valuable Player Award Scholarship Program, Gulf will donate $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund of both Georgia and Kentucky. There's a look at Ed Davender out of Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, New York. And Tony Mack, a native of Tampa, Florida, played at the same high school as Dwayne Shinsis of Florida.
Mack kept him in the game early, which was so important, and Davender has been there for 40 minutes.
Full court pressure from the Bulldogs. Ball comes in play to Davender, who has to save it back to Manuel. Here's Chapman. They got to foul somebody.
Can't play chase. You've got to go foul him.
And there is the reach-in foul on Patton, but of course, it's on Ed Davender as Kentucky played keep away with Winston Bennett that time.
They sent Winston Bennett long and wouldn't let him get it. And they took 9 seconds off the clock to foul. Time is the enemy, not Kentucky. And Davender a chance to really go out in style. Still no dunk, though. You notice that? No dunk yet.
He hadn't had the opportunity, but he's done everything else. It's been a superb game for Ed Davender. Second team All-SEC last year and a preseason honorable mention All-American in 1987-88.
Clutch free throw shooter, clutch player.
Perfect at the free throw line with his sixth attempt upcoming.
Eddie Sutton whispered to Rex Chapman, call a timeout if he hits this one. Well, Rex immediately went to the official before it left Ed Davender's hands.
He knew it was going in.
Automatic.
Well, the executive producer of Southeastern Conference basketball is Jimmy Rayburn. Dave Olmstead in from Charlotte to produce tonight's game. Dave Burchett, our director. Assistant director Marta Ferguson. Network coordinators Tony Johnson and Dana Lambert. Technical director Mike Miller. Suzanne LaCroix with our graphics tonight. And you'll see the rest of our crew with good support here from Rupp Arena. The final game of the college basketball season at this mecca for college basketball.
And they'll be packed again next year when people like Sean Kemp arrive on campus. Another crop to talk about.
You experienced your first senior night tonight. What did you think of it?
Very emotional. Actually, I played here once for a senior night, and it was didn't have time to think about it then, but tonight it was a beautiful affair, and Happy Chandler, a lot of teary eyes, and a very special moment.
At LSU, what did they do for your final home appearance?
We played Kentucky for the Southeastern Conference Championship, and Dale Brown said, let's concentrate on the game, and the heck with you seniors.
Coming up Saturday, our final regular season game. It'll be from Athens as we take a look at Willie Anderson and Milt Blakely in their final home appearance. 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Central as the Bulldogs host the Vols of Tennessee in that final jockeying for position before the postseason tournament, which begins next week, March 10th through the 13th at the Assembly Center on the LSU campus in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And if you can't be on hand, we'll have the action for you here on the Jefferson Pilot SEC Network. Should be quite a week of basketball.
Kentucky very smartly pressing full court to make Georgia handle it, to make seconds tick off the clock.
76-69 as you see, and the clock ticking down.
Got to let it fly.
Kessler looks for someone behind the three-point arc.
Too much time.
And Anderson lets it go. Won't go down. Kessler on the follow.
Oh.
That'll be a three-point chance as Locke commits the foul, and Eddie Sutton says he's a senior, right?
Senior, been here. Why are you doing that? You've got to just let him get the rebound, concede the two. Anderson, a foot on the line, it only would have counted for two. Now here comes Kessler with position. Locke, a no-no. Give him up the basket. You got things under control now. Down 5, a chance to be 4. Anything can happen.
So Georgia will have a chance for the three-pointer, and Kessler makes it good.
Hugh Durham pulling all the strings.
And he gets Neville Austin back in for defensive purposes, and Kessler goes out.
Hugh from Louisville wants to make a good showing.
You know,
he has done it.
When he was at Florida State, he handed Adolph Rupp the last defeat of the Barons' career as the Kentucky head coach, the winningest coach of all time. Quick foul against Georgia as Rob Locke will step to the line. 23 seconds left. It's a 4-point Kentucky lead, and Georgia will not give up.
We've seen stranger things happen in the course of basketball games in our history, but I tell you what, we're going to see how Mr. Locke handles the pressure now. You know, everyone talks about how an improved free throw shooter he is. These are some big ones.
Here's Rob Locke at the line. Georgia still has 2 timeouts remaining.
Clutch.
Kentucky 1. And a clutch free throw by the senior from Reedley, California.
Still doesn't make Eddie Sutton happy, but he's a little bit more calm than big time.
So Locke redeems himself somewhat for that last foul by hitting 2 free throws. It's 78-72. Time running out. Kessler rolled out, and Locke has the rebound. He's hammered. They didn't call it. Chapman lobs it to Bennett.
Uh-oh.
Rob Locke. That'll bring down the house.
It's all she wrote.
Anderson as the gun sounds, and Kentucky has clinched at least a tie for its 37th Southeastern Conference Championship, with the seniors on Senior Appreciation Night leading the way to an 80-72 victory.
Kentucky tough at home. Georgia once again plays well on the road, but just a little bit short and not enough to get the W.
So hope you'll join us on Saturday for our final regular season telecast. We'll follow the Bulldogs home to Athens as Georgia hosts Tennessee. The final score here, the Kentucky Wildcats winning over Georgia 80-72.